All right. Hello, everyone. This is Robbie with Believe in the Run, and this is not Thomas. This is, introduce yourself.
I'm Dave Seal.
Dave Seal, local runner and friend and faster bastard. You are.
Yeah, buddy.
And so today Thomas is not with us. He's actually in the sky somewhere over, I don't know, the United States, traveling to Florida. And so it's just us two. Today's kind of like a trail running edition. Dave pretty much mostly does trail running. We just put up our best of 2019 trail shoes so far. That's on our website. It's also in the link down in the description. So that kind of just like lists our best trail shoes so far for the year. Aggregate, of course it's not exhaustive. It's basically the shoes that we've gotten.
It's pretty great though.
Yeah, it's good. So we'll talk about that for a little bit. I did want to say today's episode is sponsored by Coros. Coros obviously makes awesome GPS watches. You've probably seen our reviews. We just did a first look on this watch that just came out for pre-order a couple days ago. Shipping starts on September 26th. This is the Coros Apex Pro. There is a Coros Apex that's a little bit lower. This model comes with a couple of different things: some touchscreen, multi-day function. It's beautiful. Touch that screen. Yeah. Being real creepy with watches. And then it also has longer battery life, 40 hours full GPS. That should get you through
so awesome.
100.
Yeah.
Well, you have a Coros Apex, right?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'm a big fan of the watch. I mean, for like just a value watch, it does everything perfectly. I think battery life is the key.
Huge.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm stoked about this watch, especially if you're doing a longer ultra.
Yeah.
40 hours is I don't know, short of a 200.
Right.
You're pretty much good.
That should definitely get you there. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to be reviewing this. I've only had it for like 5 days, so I've only got a couple runs in, but we'll have a review up in a couple weeks on that. But yeah, just want to give a shout out to Coros there. So yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, Dave does a lot of trails, so he'll be able to contribute some thoughts to his favorite shoe or shoes. So we did have our best running shoe list come out. There's a lot of kind of obvious favorites on that list, where there's the Hoka Speed Goat 3. I mean, that's become one of the top trail shoes right now.
Yeah, and it's
you running it, right?
I do, and I've been a Hoka runner, since I kind of I started out there.
Yeah.
And I've dabbled in some of the shoes that we've talked about, but really I keep coming back to the Speedgoat just because, I have high arches, so it kind of, I need that cushion.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I need to strengthen my feet or something, to start running in Luna sandals. But for me, it works, and when it works, you don't want to
stick to it. Don't break that.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Speed Goats for sure.
Yeah, and obviously I think the Evo Mafate was also on there. That was another Hoka favorite. But yeah, just go to the link and check out the shoes. One of the shoes on there that we can't really say too much about review-wise, but we're allowed to give a first look today, is the Skechers Go Run Speed Trail Hyper. Now this shoe is wild.
It's cool looking.
I mean, like, kudos to Skechers Performance, because honestly, this is one of the cooler looking trail shoes I've seen out there. So a couple things about this. It only weighs 8 ounces for a size 9, which, as you know, is light on the trails. This is definitely a fast trail shoe. Taylor, who is our Colorado Rocky Mountain reviewer, he's running in it right now. He said it basically is like the Mazda of trail shoes. the zoom of trail shoes.
Zoom.
That's about all we could say right now. Aside from the specs, has a Goodyear rubber outsole. It has the Hyperburst in the heel, transitioning towards the midfoot, which if you run in Hyperburst, you know how awesome it is. Love the Hyperburst. P-Bax plate right there. That adds, Kurt from Skechers actually told us that kind of adds for some stability and kind of keep you on line when you're on uneven terrain, the actual molding of it. So yeah, it's a really cool shoe, and it also has this like dynamic like lacing system in the heel.
Yeah, it's
cool.
pretty wild.
Yeah,
the lockdown. I mean, it's a very stripped down shoe.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they pretty much took out any frills that are going to give you any weight whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
I mean, it's translucent ripstop mesh upper. It seems like it'll be pretty durable, but also like very light. So, anyways, we're pretty stoked
That's awesome.
to do a full depth review on that. If you have any questions about this that we can answer, feel free to ask them, or any other shoe questions that you have. A couple other shoes on the list that are pretty obvious, but I'm still going to throw them out there just because I have them, is the Nike Terra Kiger 5. Now, this is there's the 3 set of Nikes that came out this year, the Wild Horse, the Pegasus, and the Kiger 5. I have the Kiger 5. I actually didn't run in the other shoes, but the Kiger 5 is a pretty solid shoe.
You liked it?
Yeah, it's definitely, I felt like it was meant for just ripping trails, like pretty fast shoe. It feels lighter than I think it's like 9.6 ounces.
And you wore that at the end of your 50 mile, right?
Exactly. So for the first 36 miles, I wore this Topo Mountain Racer, which I really love. I just really like the feel of it on my feet. Now, you said you didn't love the Mountain Racer. Maybe not enough cushion for you.
Yeah, and I mean, again, personal preference. I like a lot of cushion. It doesn't give me, but I did like the feel, and I've taken these locally on some of the trails in Patapsco, which is a little more smoother.
Yeah.
I think for me, because there's not a rock plate, and that's one of the pieces that they kind of, strip down to get it to a very light shoe. I mean, it's a really nice light shoe.
I believe the last version of this had, or the MT3 maybe has a rock plate. I forget.
Yeah. And and the Ultra Venture also does
That's
too.
That's right. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the feel of it. I do like the being able to feel the trail on those smoother.
I think that's what I loved about it, because like I do have speed goat as well, and sometimes I just feel like I can't feel the trail. Yeah. Like, because there's
that's that's what a lot of people say with the Hokas.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this definitely found a sweet spot for me. But anyways, check out the list. There's a lot more on there from reviewers way more qualified than me, because we have Matt Imberman, who just placed 9th in the Palm to Pines 100 miler.
Oh wow, nice.
In Northwest.
Cool.
He actually wore the speed goat the whole time. So, and then Aaron, who routinely is just running stupid distances around here, and then Taylor, who runs in Colorado and also does excellent. So they all are very experienced reviewers, and so go to the list, you'll find some of their inputs on that. Let me just go over my list here. So, I did want to ask Dave some questions, some more questions about kind of what kind of running you've been into, what you've been up to. So
I'm gearing up I have my first 100 in 3 weeks. So I'm gearing up for Cloud Splitter.
Cool.
100. I've been preparing for that for pretty much the last 6 months.
Sweet.
Ran this summer. Let's see. I started the sort of spring season with my first 50 miler, which was American River.
That was out in California.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then ran Catoctin. I'm probably gonna skip some.
So that
ran Catoctin 50K. Ran Maryland Heat 50K.
Which both of those races were like above 100 degrees.
Insane heat. And so, I mean, and I did those hot races also just because they, once you get heat adapted, it really helps.
Sure.
Everything else.
Well, a lot of people say like even humidity training is like the poor man's altitude training.
That's right. And so And then my coach kind of pushed me to do the dark quad to get some, which is the quad or 4-state.
Yes, this is a pretty cool race.
4-state challenge. Yeah, it's kind of like a fat ass.
Yeah. Right.
But it was the 4-state challenge is all 4 states, or it's this Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail, and you go through 4 states. So
Right.
you start in Pennsylvania, you run all the way through Maryland, then you get to Harper's Ferry, touch Virginia,
so West
and
Virginia,
then
Virginia.
you end in West Virginia. Right. So that was super cool.
And
ran all night.
42 miles?
44-ish,
Okay.
somewhere in there. But I did that with Dave Cadis. He crushed it too.
Nice. Shout out to Dave.
Yep.
Out there. You better be watching.
And that was a great, primer for night running, which you're a pro at now.
I mean, that's pretty much all I do with with 2 kids who wake up. If I wake up at 5 in the morning, so.
But I was a little, I mean, I've definitely done some night running, and it doesn't bother me as much, but it was good to test that out. And then my most recent thing was that I went and paced my buddy RC at Run Rabbit Run.
Right, and that was this past weekend or last weekend?
That was this
weekends.
past
Okay.
this past weekend. Yeah,
crazy.
It goes pretty wild. And I spent last Tuesday, so about a week ago, I was in Colorado.
Okay.
I spent about a week. I was a little nervous because I haven't been back at altitude.
Yeah, because you used to live in Colorado.
I lived in Colorado for a little while, many years ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't a runner, but did a bunch of hiking and backpacking and
Sure.
climbing. And so I was a little nervous about the altitude. But I had been working my butt off, running those hot, humid days.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out. Like the altitude, I definitely felt it. So the first 2 days I spent in Denver and did a couple runs outside of Denver.
Cool.
And in Boulder, which was awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
I did one run up Green Mountain, which is right outside of Boulder. You start in Chautauqua State Park. And it was the first 2.5 miles was 2,000 feet of elevation gain. It was literally straight up. I was just like, okay, glad I brought my poles on this one.
Seriously. So after, when you actually paced during the race, what miles did you have with him?
So I had mile 50, I think it was around like 51 to about 77, so about 26 miles.
Good quarter of the race then.
Yeah, and that was all at night.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Run Rabbit Run, for those of you who don't know, is a race that happens every September in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's 106 miles.
Okay. Just got to stick that extra 6
yeah. And they're pretty proud of it. With about 21,000 feet of elevation gain. So you definitely get some real big climbs in there.
Yeah.
And
how many people do it?
It's a pretty big race, primarily because the prize purse is pretty big.
Nice.
I think the winner of the men's, so it's an interesting race because it starts off the tortoise. They have 2 groups. Okay. So they have the tortoise group, which starts at 8 or 6 a.m. Okay. So somewhere right in there. Maybe it's 8 a.m. And they have a 36-hour cutoff. And then the hare group is the faster group. And they have a 30-hour cutoff. So what's cool is that the tortoises start out first, and then you have all these elites who are usually in the hare group. But I think the winner for the hare group is it's something crazy like $15,000 or something.
Wow.
It's a chunk of change.
Like legit.
Well, and it, they get a lot of really great runners out there because of it.
So if the tortoise group goes out first and the hare's behind them, is there issues with single track that they have to pass and when passing them, or is it generally
not
wider?
at that, not at, by the time that they're 4 or 5 hours in? I don't think so.
It's pretty spread out and
yeah, I didn't hear of any issues. I think it's cool from the tortoise's perspective. Michelle Yates, who won the women's race and has won, I think, last year too. And my buddy who was running, he was like, "Yeah, Michelle Yates just cruised right by me,
cool.
And you say you
see them. Well, you saw
them.
Courtney DeWalder, didn't you?
I did see. I got a picture with Courtney. She's cool as ever.
I bet she is.
Super awesome. She was crewing a friend of hers.
Okay.
And I just, we got to the first aid station, set up our crew, and I looked right next to me, and I'm like,
what?
That's Courtney Walter.
A UTMB champion.
Like right next to me, crewing her buddy. And I think that's, that's props to Courtney. And that was one thing that I said to her, thanks for doing all that you do for the sport. Like, she had just crushed UTMB.
Right, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And then she was out there crewing with her, crewing her friend. I mean, that's what it's all about.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
And I think the whole experience really was pretty neat. I highly, if you ever get the chance to pace someone in a race, a long ultra, it's so worth it, because it really is a community effort.
Yeah.
And whether you're volunteering or you're pacing, whether you're actually running, it was really cool. So I ran sort of the night section.
Cool. Yeah, I've same thing with pacing.
Yeah.
It is a cool experience. Like last year I paced a friend of mine she was doing her first 100 miler.
Mm-hmm.
It was the C&O Canal 100, which is like flat.
Super flat.
Like, but it's also like super boring.
Right.
You're on
right.
I mean, I've biked it before. Wouldn't want to run it, but I did the same thing through the night. Like I think for 20-ish miles, and it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was glad that I got the night, because I was able to practice night running, but B, he did incredibly well all throughout the first day. And we were getting a little nervous because their tracker wasn't working, so we didn't know where he was. But then he called us at one point. We were like, great, he's on pace.
Right.
And when I picked him up, he was moving well.
Yeah. Cool.
And then about probably, I would say, 7 miles, it was after the next aid station, we went up this big climb to this section called Lane of Pain, which is doesn't sound enjoyable. Never good if you're going into a lane of pain. And we went up this big climb and got to the top of that. There was an aid station at the top of that, and he was just rough.
Oh man.
He was just like getting tired, and you could just see it like bonking one way or another.
Yeah.
And I had, intuitively thought to myself, I should take this. I had a couple 5-hour energies.
Okay, nice.
And I put one in my running vest, being like,
Yeah.
well, one of us might need it.
Right.
And those tiny little 5-hour energies, I mean, highly recommend.
I've
like
heard
throwing one into your pack if you're doing 100, because you never know when you need that caffeine boost. Gave it to him, and it was just like whoop, 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 whoop. It was just like recharged.
That's awesome.
Some ibuprofen, and then he was good to go.
I also took a 5-hour energy and some ibuprofen the other day, but it was just to stay up and drink.
I was just trying to work.
It was actually, I think it was the exact same night as that. So
right.
Saturday.
There you go.
Yeah. So similar needs.
But he did really well, and then we descended. Well, I got him to, after he kind of recharged, we did a couple loops up there, and then he probably for the next 6 miles down to the next aid station, we ran the majority of that next, and he was like feeling good.
Nice.
We almost ran into a black bear.
That's wild.
15 feet away. He was running.
You don't want to see that at mile 70.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, he had seen one earlier in the day.
Okay.
And we were running, and he's like, "Oh, that's a bear!" And I thought he was like seeing things, because he was definitely hallucinating at that point. Yeah. And I was like, "No, oh, yep, that's a bear!" And it just kind of rambled off into the woods, but it was pretty wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was a good experience. Cool. And
good course.
So highly recommend Run Rabbit Run as like 100. I would recommend it as like a maybe like a first mountain race, like at altitude. Yeah. Like I'll probably end up running it if I really do love the 100-mile distance. They also do a 50-miler as well there, so you can check it out. But just really well run. beautiful course, and you get to see a lot of, like, Carl Meltzer runs one of
the Speedgoat.
The Speedgoat runs one of the aid stations there every
awesome.
year.
So it's like a who's who.
It really is, and you get to see some just incredible, incredible athletes.
That's
so
awesome.
Highly recommend it.
Nice.
It's great.
Let me
great race.
make sure we don't have any questions going on here. So someone asked, Trex, what's up, Trex? Had to take the insoles out of my Speedgoat 3s so they would fit me. Will this change the lifetime out of my shoe, or is insoles mainly for extra cushion? Oh, yeah, it's not gonna. No. Like, you're fine. Insoles are just there for more comfort, that thin layer of comfort, and if you want to switch them out, go for it. Let's see if we have anything else. If anyone else is running any other races this fall, trail races or ultras or anything like that, let us know. It'd be cool to hear what you're running. Tracks, if you're running anything out there. Let me check my agenda here to make sure we're on one pace. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually I did want to just peep these real quick. So we're reviewing some fall gear. We have like a fall promotional campaign next week for some items that we're throwing out there. Just got these like literally right before the show, but it's Buff's Dry Flex buffs, which they're like fully reflective, so like 360 reflective. It's kind of cool. Actually Buffs or a neck warmer is one of my favorite pieces of winter gear.
Oh yeah,
I have
so cute.
I have a Smart Wool one actually that I have from last year, and I was like, I've been missing this my whole life, like for anything, for biking, running, normal life. Yep.
Well, and that was the interesting thing that I had to shift. Maybe about 3 days before Run Rabbit Run, my buddy who I was pacing texted me. He's like, just so you know, it's going to be cold. And I had to like look. I was like, oh, right.
You're like,
I'm going to be in the mountains. And it legit was like 35 degrees at night. Yeah. And I had to pull out all of my gaiters, all of my buffs, get all of the warm, my tights, my gloves.
Because it's not like you're road running at 35 in the daytime. It's like you're hiking.
I mean, this is why like ultra running gets real expensive really quickly, because you need like 3 of these. And these are, and like good gloves, and like
it's great. I know.
Which if you guys get any gloves in, I would love a glove.
All right,
a glove review.
We'll see if Santa.
Nice.
Santa thinks you've been a good runner this year. We actually are getting in some gloves, hats, buffs. So we're gonna try to do like a winter gear thing.
Winter preview. Yeah. Because I would love to know which gloves work best.
To be honest, because I would like to know that, because I've just run with like whatever I find at the store or at a race expo.
What do you guys use?
Yeah,
I want to know what you guys use.
Like gloves, because gloves are weird. It's like sometimes they're super thin and you're like, my hands are freezing, and then sometimes they're too thick.
So this was interesting. So last February I ran the Black Mountain, or the Mount Mitchell Challenge.
Right.
And I had 2 pairs of gloves. Because I knew that it was going to be rainy, sleety, and I knew one was going to get wet. And so I had just some generic, random, like just polyester, normal kind of liners. And that was nice because it was super light. Yeah. And then when I went to change, I had these North Face gloves that, I always try and get a nice fit, because I don't like a big, bulky glove. Right. And I couldn't get it on my hand because my hands had swollen.
Right.
And it was like, I mean, it ended up being fine, but that was a big learning experience. And you have to think about those things.
If the glove does not fit, you must have quit.
Yeah.
You're good to go in case you get murdered somewhere.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, gloves is one of those things. Like winter's definitely like a weird, and we'll probably do another episode about this. Winter is one of those, like, you really have to just try out a bunch of different stuff until it clicks.
You do. Yeah.
So yeah, let me check back real quick here. Thomas is watching. He must have just like landed. He's like on the tarmac, or he's breaking all the rules.
Perfect.
But one of the other things maybe we can just kind of wrap up with is, what kind of trails are your favorite?
What kind of trails? In terms of
like, what's your favorite type
like
of trail
locally,
running?
like right around here?
Yeah, I mean, if that's
so one of my, and this is apropos to Pacing RC, because he was my training buddy for a while, and we really fell in love with Oregon Ridge. And
yeah, that's a state park.
The Oregon Ridge 4-mile loop is, I would say for the mileage and the facilities, because there's like a bathroom there, and there's like a water fountain there. Yeah. I think the only drawback is that it closes, so you kind of have to go there like, on a weekend, early morning, or not at night, so you can't do night running. But the trails are really well maintained. But the thing that I love about it is you get some really solid descent and a couple really good uphills. And that's kind of like what I look for when I'm, on a loop, like a training loop. Yeah.
I mean, that's all you really need. You just want some descent, some loop, maybe a little bit of technical, but nothing.
Yeah, and I think 4 miles, it's somewhere between like 600 to 750 in elevation gain.
That's perfect.
So like when you do like a couple loop, you can do like 8 miles, and I think I got around like 1,200 or something.
That's good.
In elevation, which it's just such a great loop. But
that's I think that's what there's people don't think is Mid-Atlantic is like a good place to trail run. Like, I would say trail runners don't necessarily think that, but if you thought off the top of your head, like, oh, where do I want to trail run? Out west, whatever, maybe northeast. But obviously we have the Appalachian Trail right around the corner. It's like 45 minutes away. Now, that is like mostly rocks.
Yeah,
like
it's not runnable.
No,
it's not.
It's just rocks. Like,
I think Patapsco is really great because it is more runnable.
It's a mixture of rocks and roots, but it's not insane. My favorite training was the Gunpowder, the Wildflower section, which you ran with me at night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When the DNR caught us coming out of the woods, and they let us
breaking the law.
I mean, they could see we were really intimidating, so they let us go without question.
Yeah.
So
they were definitely scared.
Definitely. But the same thing. It's just like if you find that place where you love and become used to, it's great, And, And there is some, I think, FOMO when you see people running out in Colorado or the Pacific Northwest, but it's like, to them, it becomes the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
and it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous out there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Those runs that I was able to get in outside of Boulder there's nothing like it.
Yeah. But like anything, if you spend all your time there, you're gonna take it for granted.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was actually. A lot of people talk about how like buffed out the trails are. And I guess it depends on what trails, but most of the trails that I went on were like fairly technical in Colorado.
Okay.
I don't know. Actually, there was one that was like super bougie. It was like a bougie trail.
Like cement.
Yeah, it was just like, lots of mountain bikers.
Lots of Instagrammers.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But
that's cool.
But like, I think for here, it's just finding trails that are runnable.
Yeah.
Because I think that's in the Mid-Atlantic. You do get a lot of rocks and stuff. Catoctin is super rocky. AT is super rocky. So it's finding those trails where you can just kind of let loose.
Yeah.
If you're not training, I think the biggest and most important thing when you're trail running is A, just enjoy it, and B, if you're training for a race, train for a race with the same train on a trail that has the same terrain, and that's hard when you're training for like a big mountain race, because there's not a ton of mountains out here, but I will say, like out at Catoctin, you can run up and down Bob's Hill.
Yeah, I mean, you can get
Harper's
some stuff.
Ferry. You can,
that's a legit
Maryland
run.
Heights. Like,
Yeah.
I know, guys who I think it's every Tuesday do repeats at Maryland Heights.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I agree. Like, just find that place that you love and run that. I'm really excited because I was at my parents' house a couple weeks ago, and they live near the Appalachian Trail, but like up in Hershey, PA. And so I have run up there before on the trail, and it's ridiculous. Like, it's not runnable. It is all rocks. But there's a state park near there called Swatera State Park, and I just got in like 6 or 8 miles on the trails there. And it's weird because it's like literally a half a mile from the AT, and no rocks. Like, it was just this like weird.
That's so.
It was like beautiful dirt. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a controversy.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was nice. Had an enjoyable time.
People just put rocks in the AT.
Yeah, right. They're just like they bring buckets of rocks from outside the area and just dump.
I'm just gonna make it harder for all the through hikers.
Yeah. So let's see if there's anything else. I think it's just Thomas and Jameson bickering at each other.
Oh yeah, nice guys.
Yeah. So cool.
Get on it.
So Cody Jett, which, by the way, shout out to Cody for winning the chili pad giveaway last week, which was totally random. Everyone's like, "Oh, it was rigged." I'm like, "No, it was random." I do a number generator, count the comments, and there it is.
Good work.
So congratulations. I hope you're enjoying that. Should be there today. So he asked what's like a bucket list race for us. As far as like a trail race.
Oh, that's a great question. Bucket race for me is Leadville, for sure.
I mean, I think that's on a lot of people's lists.
Leadville or UTMB.
Yeah.
I'm working my way up there. I obviously bit the ultra bug real hard, and
he did.
Yeah, and so I'm working my way up. I mean, going out to Colorado and pacing my buddy was kind of a first test to kind of see what running at altitude was like for me. And I didn't get up too high. I think the highest elevation that we were quote unquote running was about 8,000
Okay, so it's not totally insane.
Yeah, so I didn't get above 10,000. And that's the thing with Leadville.
Yeah.
Is that you're starting
it starts
at 10,400, and I think it gets pretty close to like 13,000.
Dude, I get
up at Hope's
I'm
Pass.
like losing my breath just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's you know what it is, and this is what I kind of learned in terms of altitude is just everything slows down.
Yeah.
Like you have to get to your point where your fitness is. So when you go to altitude, like you're gonna slow down like a good couple minutes.
Yeah.
But with 100 too, the thing is that, and this was the other thing that I took away from Run Rabbit, is that it's so slow. You're not running.
Right.
Like my buddy RC probably ran 10 miles out of 100.
Right. I mean, it's just like, especially, was it his first one?
Yeah, it was his first one.
So like same.
And he wasn't pushing for a specific time.
Right. You just want to finish. I mean,
he was just like, I'm perfectly happy just to walk it in.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know, like for a bucket race for myself, I'm not, like I did that 50 miler and it was fine. Like I didn't have any huge issues with it. I don't know. I thought I was going to be more into like doing the 100 distance. I'm not sure that it's like really on my list of things to do at this point.
It's hard. It's hard to train.
Well, it's hard to train too. Like I have 2 kids and it's obviously insane.
Yeah.
But just the, I don't know. It's just like hasn't hit me the way I thought it would. But I like doing weird races. Like the 50 mile I did was all night, just start at night and in the morning. And I think I would like to do just something weird like that. I mean, the Marathon des Sables in South Africa would always seem like a really cool, like, that's in the desert. I mean, that would be like an awesome like race to do. The other one I was thinking of is the Comrades, which would be super cool. Like, it's just the idea of Comrades is such a weird thing. Like
that's an ultra, right?
It is. Yeah, it's called. I think it's.
70K or something
like
that?
Yeah.
It's like somewhere around 70K on road, so, right?
Yeah, and then it climbs up the mountain at the end. I don't know. It's kind of a weird race, but it's kind of a.
I mean, I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, or I mean, I've only like read about it a couple times. I think Thomas was actually like registered for it once, but he was injured like the month before. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, Thomas, if I was wrong on that, you can clear me up. But anyways, I think that's like mostly it for today. So we just wanted to talk about some of the trail shoes that we love, some of the trail races that we love, trail gear and stuff like that. Actually, we can talk about gear another time. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Loved it, man.
It was a good time.
Yeah,
I hope everyone else liked it out there. So Thomas will be back next week. I will be flipping places with him and going to Florida next week.
Nice.
And actually, because Thomas's in-laws live in the same place my in-laws do. Like,
no way,
they live,
really?
like 5 minutes away. Yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I'll be literally like flipping spots with him next weekend. So he'll be here. Probably have another guest. But yeah, definitely check out the best of trail running shoes in the description below. Obviously, remember to subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. And yeah, have a great weekend.
Peace.
All right.